Welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship, our online and on-the-ground multi-generational community. We're so glad you're with us on this weekend of Samhain, Halloween, El Dia de los Muertos, All Saints' Day, and All Souls' Day. It's the time of year when the leaves fall from the trees, reminding us of the cycles of the seasons: spring, summer, winter, and autumn, and the cycles of our lives: birth, youth, adulthood, elderhood, if we are lucky, and eventually death. Like the leaves, we return to Mother Earth, from which all of us ultimately sprung forth. We are a part of the tree of life itself. At this time of year, the veil between us and our ancestors is believed to grow thin. There is a sense that those who have died are as close to us as our own breath. To some, this may seem frightening. This is at play in the costumes we wear and in the decorations that we hang, involving ghosts that haunt and monsters that bite. A bit of mischief hangs in the air, especially on All Hallows' Eve. Maybe some of you wore something scary this week. If you did wear a costume, let us know what you were and write it in the comments or the chat. And if you're too young to type, ask an adult to help you out. To others, the thought of our dearly departed being near is oh so welcome. They are never too far from our hearts, and to imagine that they are here with us allows memories and hope to flow and brings smiles all around. It's a time to decorate graves, taste family recipes, and to tell the stories of how our lives are connected and how much we miss them. Following this service in our Zoom coffee hours at 10 a.m. and 12 p.m., we invite all of you, children, youth, and adults, to bring a photo or a short story of an ancestor to share with us. Welcome to our All Souls Day service. Yes, I know that today is technically All Saints' Day, and I'm grateful that there are people who are called saints, people who were so filled with goodness while they were alive that they're celebrated well beyond their own family. One example is Mother Teresa, who died in 1997, but officially became a saint in the Catholic Church in 2016. She's honored for her lifelong devotion to caring for the sick, the poor, and the marginalized. However, in our faith, Unitarian Universalism, we don't generally call people saints or the opposite concept of sinners. Rather, we view all people as worthy of our love and all lives as containing examples that we can learn from and follow. People who are very good may behave badly sometimes. No one needs to be a saint in this fellowship. And people who behave badly on a regular basis may also do good things from time to time and may learn over time how to orient their lives towards goodness more often. Isn't that what we all hope for? That ordinary people like you, like me, can be moved by love to do great and good things with our lives. The holiday of All Souls, therefore, calls out to us. It's a day to honor all our ancestors, their struggles, their triumphs, what they loved, and the ways that they contributed to the onward flow of life. As one of our spiritual forefathers, William Ellery Channing, once wrote, I am a living member of the great family of All Souls. Welcome to you, Welcome to your ancestors. Welcome to our virtual sanctuary.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. I'm Harry.
I'm Susie Harris.
We open our worship services with a ritual lighting of a flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith. And in doing so, we unite ourselves with Unitarian Universalists across the country and around the globe. If you have a chalice at home, we'd encourage you to light it along with us.
Our opening words are by Reverend Kathleen McTigue. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together.
Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Solu, Director of Religious Education at our fellowship. I just want to wish everyone a blessed All Souls Day and to let you know that Alison has asked me to speak about our beautiful memorial quilt that you're looking at right now. It was a quilt that was made about probably 15 or 16 years ago by a group of friends, and I'll tell you the story in a few minutes. But I do want to speak to you a little bit about loss, especially to our children, because they're going through a difficult time right now. With our pandemic, their schools are very different, and the loss of the regular routine and engaging with friends is very hard. And our sports teams some of them have been canceled. Holidays are different right now. It's a tough time for everyone, and I want to acknowledge that. And so when we go through a loss like this, and when we lose people that we love, we go through something called grieving. And there are stages of the grieving process. And the first stage has to do with being shocked or being horribly surprised. We're in disbelief. And we try to think about ways that we can make it different. The news, it can't be real, it can't be true, but it is. And so we bargain. We say, oh, if I pick up my room and I make it clean, if I help around the house, if I get straight A's on my report card, maybe it won't be true, whatever the issue is. If it's someone who's sick or dying or something that's happening to us, we just feel that we can make it different, we can change it. Another stage is pain, and it's deep pain, and it's deep sadness, and it's sometimes confusion and anger happen after we've tried the bargaining and it doesn't work. That's when we feel this real difficult pain that we go through. And we think that we're alone in our feelings and that we yearn for it to be different. And so we finally realize that we have to go through the process of grieving. And we go through it, and it goes through us. And we need a way to share our feelings because we can't keep them bottled up. It's not healthy for us. And so we find people that we can talk to, maybe teachers or parents or grandparents, friends. And then if we're creative enough, we might decide we're going to make a memory box or an album, or we write our feelings in a journal, or we draw pictures. And we do this because we want to remember the person and we want to feel a little better that we do remember them. And so we're honoring them in that way. It also reminds us to affirm the fact that they were part of our lives and they touched our lives. And so we do these things. And sometimes people put their energy into building something, maybe a bench for a park and they put someone's name on it. Maybe they decide they're going to create a playground. Maybe they are going to build a garden, create a garden in a community to honor the person's life. Or maybe they're going to make a quilt. And here's where our story begins. So our quilt was made by a group of friends that decided after the loss of someone very special to us, one of our religious education teachers, Walter Stasiak, we wanted to do something because the pain was so great when we lost him. He was in the midst of teaching, and he had a team with him at the fellowship. He was also a teacher at Rockaway High School, and he was a coach. He was a history teacher and a baseball coach and a football coach, and he had 2 boys and his wife Barbara, and they were members of the congregation, and Barbara still is here. Their boys are grown now and have children of their own, but we decided we needed to do something because we were at a loss. We felt terrible. And so we called up Barbara and we said, let's sit down and think of ways that we can be together. And so we had a meal together and we did a lot of listening, and then we decided we were going to make a quilt together. So we needed to make a design, pick fabric, learn to sew, learn to quilt, and we did all that. And we did it for about 6 months. And our quilt, if you look at it, it's quite lovely. The border represents the stages of the moon, which reminds us that life goes on. The moon changes monthly. It goes through its phases from new moon to full moon. And if you look at the tree, it shows the seasons of the year in the branches, the beautiful colors going from spring to summer to fall to winter. And if you look at the river starts in the mountains and goes down into the valley and then up again, and then rain comes down and fills the mountains again. So the river continues. And look at the beautiful flowers and the fish and the birds and the mountains in the back. So in the center, you'll see our chalice. And our chalice is made of loving hands. And in the center is the flame. And we enjoyed our time together. We enjoyed talking to each other and feeding each other and listening to stories and sewing, learning something new and creating something beautiful. And if you one day look on the back of the quilt, you'll see that there's a picture of Walt and other members of our congregation. And anyone who's a member, a family can decide to put a picture on the back of the quilt when they pass. So it's our beautiful memorial quilt, and we're very proud of it. And we hope that it would help Barbara heal, and I think it did, and it helped us heal too. So it was made with a lot of love. And I wish you all a blessed All Souls Day as you remember your loved ones and deal with loss. Many blessings.
Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Zah. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Zah. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Zah. Zah. Zah.
Our story today is I Miss My Grandpa by author Jean Xiaojin, read to us by Edith, Norman, Lauren, and Jason Ng.
I've never met my grandpa. He died before I was born. But still, I have always felt like he's here with me. I want to know everything about him. So I like to ask my grandma, what did Grandpa look like? 我从来没有见过外公，他在我出生前就去世了，但我常常感到他一直陪伴在我们身边。我想知道关于他的一切，所以我问外婆，外公是什么样子呀？ Grandma answers, your youngest uncle, Mason, has a face shaped most like your grandpa's.
Uncle Mason says, your grandpa's face is very far away, like the moon in my memory, although sometimes I still dream about him.
Grandma says, your middle uncle, Changzi, has your grandpa's eyes.
Uncle Changzi says, when your grandpa looked at the world, he was quiet and patient, like a crocodile. When he closed his eyes, his imagination sparked.
Grandma says your eldest uncle, Leo, has a nose passed down from your grandpa.
Uncle Leo says, by always learning, trying, and practicing, your grandpa knew when to water the soil, when to fertilize the soil, and when to plant in the soil just by smelling the soil.
My grandma says your aunt, Zaizi, has a mouth most like your grandpa's.
My aunt Zaizi says, your grandpa told us stories night to night. In his stories, he had a dove's voice, duck's voice, lion's voice, lamb's voice, cloud's voice, wind's voice, sunrise's voice, sunset's voice, and countless other voices.
Grandma says, your eldest cousin, Aiden, has ears like your grandpa. When he listens, he doesn't talk. He can hear the silence lying between and underneath many sounds.
My cousin Aiden says nothing. He just listens. 我堂兄什么也没说，他只是在听。
Grandma says your mom inherited your grandpa's hair.
My mom says, your grandpa's hair was really curly like a nest. Birds even came to stay in it one winter. Grandpa look like this? Does he look like this? 外公是这样吗？外公是这样吗？
我好想念外公，虽然我从来没有见过他。外婆说，你可以在心里见到他，他还活着，活在我们这些爱他的人之间。
Grandma says you also have your grandpa's hair.
婆婆話你啲頭髮似你公公後生嗰陣時。
Come to me as a bird. I will know it's you as you hover above the life we once knew. Though I can't hold you now, I remain undeterred, and I'll know you if you come to me as a bird. Come to me as a bird, dancing in the trees while the last leaves of summer cast themselves to the breeze. Now the season has changed. Now the memory is blurred, but I'll know you if you come to me as a bird. Come to me as a bird. Come to me as a bird. I will know you if you come to me as a bird. Singing in my garden, winging through the rain, I can tell you're out there, staring through my pain. Come to me as a bird, keeper of the sky. How I long to go with you when I see you fly. Once I gave you my heart, now I give you my word that I'll know you if you come to me as a bird. Come to me as a bird. Come to me as a bird. I will know you if you come to me as a bird. Come to me as a bird. Come to me as a bird. I will know you if you come to me as a bird. Come to me as a bird.
On All Souls Day, we honor the connections with close beloveds we've lost in the last year, as well as people who've touched all of our lives, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg and John Lewis. We also honor the familial and spiritual ancestors of long ago. This year it's important that we pause to count the cost of this pandemic, including 1,200,000 souls now gone from the earth, including 230,000 people who have died in the United States. We're about to hear a personal tribute, the story of one beloved who passed away in one of our households impacted by COVID as well as a pre-existing illness. This ancestor is named Andre Jensen, and he was Noel's father and Soren's grandfather. His story will be followed by the calling out in song of other close family members who've died in our community over this past year, as well as a few names from the wider world. May we listen. May we remember. May we heal.
Today, as we light this candle for Andre Jensen, I feel the warmth of his memory as a comforting glow surrounding us. Soren and I moved in with my parents after he was born. As a single mother, it made sense to share their home, which they opened to us gladly. From the day he was born, Soren brought joy to our lives. My dad was especially thrilled that his first grandson had arrived. They always had a very special relationship. Soren is going to tell you a little more about Andre's life and share some memories.
Andre Jensen was born on August 10, 1935, to Christian and Constance in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. He graduated from the Lower Merion High School, then did 2 tours of duty with the Air Force. He attended college on the GI Bill at the University of Arkansas in Little Rock. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. After graduating, he began his career at Western Electric. He relocated to Europe where he lived for several years, working with the Department of Defense. In 1966, a friend introduced him to Birte. He thought they should meet because they had the same last name, Jensen. Andre and Birte dated long distance for several years and were married in 1968 in Los Angeles, California, where Birte lived. They drove cross-country for their honeymoon and settled in Burlington, North Carolina, where their 2 children, Noel and Christian, were born. In 1973, the family moved to Morris Plains, New Jersey, where they have stayed. One of the things I remember about Maffa is he would always tell me that my hugs were worth $1 million. This used to make me feel really special. He was really good at making me feel loved. When I was younger, I loved trains. He used to take me to the train station and watch them pull in. He also got me a book called Mr. Punnymoon's Train that we would read together all the time. I could always count on Maffa encouraging us to stop for ice cream. Our family loves Denville seafood, and afterwards we would head across the street to Denville Terry for our favorite dessert, ice cream. Maffa particularly loved black raspberry.
Andre has always been passionate about nature, protecting the environment, and working to improve his community. He was a member of the Whippany River Action Committee, spent time on the Morris Plains Planning Board, as well as working at the Morris County Recycling Center. Andre enjoyed spending time at the recycling center on Saturday mornings, which remained a constant in his life for over 30 years. As time passed, his MS advanced and moving became more difficult, but he kept going. He found a job that he could do working with the junk metal. The recycling center honored him for his service by installing Andy's workbench, a workstation created just for him so that he could have somewhere to sit while he worked. Andre spent many happy Saturday mornings taking things apart and interacting with the people who came into the recycling center. The week before he passed away, he took apart our washing machine, which had stopped working, and took the recyclable components up to the center. He loved to have something useful to do. It was what gave his life purpose and meaning. My dad told me that he learned about jazz from his friends in the Air Force, and throughout his life it remained his favorite musical genre. He also loved the 1812 Overture and André Rieu. Dave Brubeck was often played at our house, and Take 5 would always make him happy. André loved good wine, cheese, and dark chocolate. He especially enjoyed Beerta's chocolate mousse. André has always valued family above all things. As his dad aged, he spent as much time as possible in Pennsylvania helping to care for him. André enjoyed coaching his kids' soccer teams when they were younger. He was a wonderful father and always was there to read a book or play a game. Some of my best memories of my dad are walks that we took in the woods around our home, both as a child and later as a young adult, before hiking became too challenging. André loved both of his grandchildren, Soren and Margot, and seeing them grow brought him great joy. André was a birder for much of his life before he moved on to butterflies. One thing that I've done this year is continue his practice of taking the monarch caterpillars off the milkweed in our yard and caring for them in the butterfly hut that he built, then releasing them once they transformed into butterflies. He loved to release them and get them started on their journey southwest. So much of who I am at my core is connected with my dad. Our reverence for the beauty of nature and love of the natural world, an understanding for the need of recycling, and a significant concern that we are not taking good enough care of this planet that is our home. We shared a love of music, including Leonard Cohen, also known as that Canadian folk singer, a desire to be kind and do nice things for people, a deep love of our family, both immediate and chosen. I don't know that he consciously set out to pass on his core values, but I do know that I would not be who I am today without him. André Jensen was a good man. He always worked hard and did his best. We hold his memory in our hearts, and I see his spirit in the world around me every day.
I'll choose.
You are not forgotten.
Oriana Edelman.
You are not forgotten.
Bob Campbell.
You are not forgotten.
Virginia Estelle Driscoll.
You are not forgotten.
Larry Killian.
You are not forgotten.
Rose Raposa.
You are not forgotten.
Sonny Riley.
You are not forgotten.
Pat Harris.
You are not forgotten.
André Jensen.
You are not forgotten.
Charles Honeywell.
You are not forgotten.
Lillian Fogel.
You are not forgotten.
Francis Humphreys Rio.
You are not forgotten.
Werner Simon.
You are not forgotten.
Jennifer Wilson.
You are not forgotten.
Hung Pak Wong.
You are not forgotten.
Joan Clifford.
You are not forgotten.
Joseph Landry.
You are not forgotten.
Edward Bimeford.
You are not forgotten.
James Hacker.
You are not forgotten.
Paula Michaels.
You are not forgotten.
Lynn Gale.
You are not forgotten.
Paul Shapiro.
You are not forgotten.
Frank Coslow.
You are not forgotten.
Marilyn Guernsey.
You are not forgotten.
Warren Helms,
you are not forgotten.
Janet Hazley,
You are not forgotten.
Elandria Williams,
You are not forgotten.
John Cockcroft,
You are not forgotten.
Don Smith,
You are not forgotten.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
You are not forgotten.
Zinzi Mandela,
You are not forgotten.
Tony McDonald,
You are not forgotten.
James Kane,
You are not forgotten.
Melanie Olson,
You are not forgotten.
Peter Harvey,
You are not forgotten.
Teddy Heller,
You are not forgotten.
John Reed,
You are not forgotten.
Jean Bray,
You are not forgotten.
John Lewis,
You are not forgotten.
C.T. Vivian,
You are not forgotten.
We did not spring from nothing, not as human beings, not as Unitarian Universalists, not even in terms of our careers or our pastime passions. We are here because of our familial ancestors, including our parents and theirs, and because of all the caregivers along the way. We are Unitarian Universalists because of our spiritual forebears, including the people who risked their lives to side with religious freedom and all those who paved the way. We are artists and activists, professionals and stay-at-home parents, workers of all kinds. In each of our positions, we rise on the shoulders of those who have shown the way. We are gamers and glee club members, soccer teammates and avid book readers, knitters, and more. In each of our pastimes, too, we build on generations of play. We are everything we are, in part because of the many who came before, even as each of us is also a unique combination of what we have gained and gleaned from their wisdom and their mistakes too. Their stories, their lives, their actions tilled the soil in which we are now planted. The forebears that we recall at this time of year and call to our hearth and heart are those who gave us life or who contributed to the ideas, practices, and pastimes that nourish a quality of aliveness and liveliness that makes our days fuller. These are the people we name our ancestors, whether they are spiritual or familial. We are bound to them by ties of a passionate nature or a parental nature or both. Their memory, hope, and story is tied to us, for without us sharing it, they cease to enter the world of the living. They are because we are too. So come and visit with me by the fire and tell me about your great-great-grandparent or the great mentor of your mentor or the great insight of a spiritual teacher of long ago. And I'll tell you about mine. And tell me also about how their struggles and triumphs, innovations and mistakes help you to lead a better life. Don't just tell me. Write it down. Pass that wisdom on. Share it. Let it flow. Let them visit once more and again. One day, we too shall be ancestors. Let us allow this year that has been so challenging, with all its struggle and loss, to just let that sink in. Not in a depressing way, although I understand that the rising toll of the pandemic or something else may be gnawing at you right now. I mean, let this time bring about an acceptance that while we do not live forever, our lives can have meaning and purpose in death and for generations beyond. May each one of us live so that we are counted amongst the ancestors and called to mind and heart at this time of year. Perhaps two spiritual questions that All Souls Day might leave us with are these. 1, by whom do you wish to be remembered? And 2, for what do you wish to be remembered? In the end, what matters is the love that we give away and the actions that contribute to the fertile soil in which future generations can grow. It's good for us to live with a consciousness of the generations that will follow. Too many people act in ways that trade happiness today for us in exchange for harm for our descendants tomorrow. We are linked to past, present, and future. All of creation is like that. Once a year, the walls between the worlds grow thin, reminding us of a deeper truth behind the mystery. It is the love we inherit from all the places that we inherit it that will also be our greatest bequest. The love will outlast everything.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding you. There is a love holding all that you love. There is a love holding all. You rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love We rest in this love. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
We extinguish this flame, but we will carry its light with us to honor and remember those who have passed into the mystery. Their brightness lives on in our vision. Their courage lives on in our commitment, and their love continues to bless the world through us. Amen. May it be so, and go in peace.